Hi, I'm Mike, and welcome to Byte by Byte Mike Explains. Technology powers our everyday lives, but most of us never get to see what's happening behind the scenes. That's what this channel is all about, uncovering the hidden stories behind the apps, devices, and services we use every day. Today's question: how does Google Maps know when traffic is building up on a road? How does Google Maps know where traffic is? You're in the car, coffee in the cup holder, music ready. You glance at the route, it looks clear. Then your phone says, delay ahead, 11 minutes added. You look up, there's nothing. No brake lights, no police cars, no sign of anything wrong. Just open road. And yet your phone already knows. No helicopter flew overhead, no traffic reporter called in, no camera watched this particular stretch of road. So what happened? How does a piece of software on your phone, a device that can't see the road, know there's a traffic jam before you can? The answer involves satellites, cell towers, millions of strangers, and a surprisingly elegant idea about movement. Let's go through it properly. The breadcrumb system. Every phone running Google Maps or Waze or Apple Maps quietly sends a small pulse of data while you drive. Not your name, not your destination, not a recording of your conversations or a photo of your face, just this. Here's a location, here's a speed, here's a timestamp. That's it. One tiny anonymous data point. Now imagine that happening not from your phone, but from every phone on every road, all at once, continuously. Suddenly, that tiny data point becomes something completely different. If 1,000 phones are all moving along the same stretch of highway, and they all suddenly slow from 65 miles per hour to 8 miles per hour, within seconds the map knows. Not because anyone reported it, not because a camera caught it, but because 1,000 tiny anonymous velocity signals all change at the same time. The map isn't watching the road. The map is noticing what the people on the road are doing. There's a useful way to picture this. Imagine you're watching a river from above. You can't see the water itself, but you've dropped thousands of small floating markers into it. When the markers bunch up and stop moving, you know exactly where the river is blocked. You don't need to see the blockage. The markers told you. That's the traffic map. You're one of the markers, so is everyone else. How your phone knows where it is. Now here's something most explainers gloss over. Your phone doesn't use just one method to figure out where it is. It uses four, and it blends them together in real time depending on which ones are available. The first is GPS. This is what most people picture. Your phone listens to signals from a constellation of satellites in orbit, roughly 20,000 kilometers above Earth. Each satellite is constantly broadcasting a precise timestamp. Your phone receives signals from several of them simultaneously, and by calculating how long each signal took to arrive, it can triangulate your position. In open sky, this gets you to within about 3 to 5 meters. In a tunnel or in a dense city with tall buildings blocking the sky, it can fail entirely. The second is cell tower triangulation. Your phone is always connected to nearby cell towers, and it can estimate its position based on signal strength from multiple towers at once. This is less accurate, anywhere from 100 meters to several kilometers, depending on how densely the towers are packed. But it works underground, indoors, and anywhere GPS can't reach. The third is Wi-Fi positioning. Even if your phone isn't connected to a network, it constantly scans for nearby Wi-Fi access points. Over years of data collection, mapping companies have built enormous databases matching Wi-Fi access points to physical locations. In a city where every building has a router, this can actually be more accurate than GPS, placing you within a few meters without touching a satellite. The fourth is dead reckoning, using the phone's accelerometer and gyroscope. When all other signals drop, say you enter a long underground tunnel, the phone tracks changes in speed and direction from your last known position and extrapolates forward. It drifts after a minute or two, but it fills the gap until a better signal returns. Maps fuses all four of these continuously, weighting whichever sources are most reliable at any given moment. The result is a position fix that's remarkably robust, and that's what gets reported back as your anonymous velocity data point. The baseline, why deviation is everything. Here's where the real cleverness lives, and it's the part that most people never hear about. A single phone going slowly doesn't tell you much. Maybe it's parked, maybe it pulled over, maybe it's a cyclist with the app open. Speed alone is nearly meaningless without context. What makes the system powerful is comparison against historical patterns. Google Maps has been collecting movement data for over 15 years across billions of trips. It knows, with remarkable precision, how fast traffic usually moves on this particular road, at this time of day, on this day of the week, at this time of year. Tuesday morning, 8 a.m., this specific stretch of motorway. Historically 68 miles per hour. If phones are currently averaging 11 miles per hour on that same stretch, the system doesn't just notice cars are slow. It notices cars are 57 miles per hour slower than they should be right now. That's a signal. The deviation from normal. This is why the system works even when there aren't many cars. A quiet back road at midnight with only 6 vehicles on it can still show orange on the map because 6 phones crawling at 4 miles per hour through a stretch that's usually empty and fast is a statistically impossible pattern without a cause. Construction zone, accident, flooded road. The model doesn't know which, but it knows something is wrong and it flags it. The color coding you see, green, yellow, orange, red, isn't an absolute speed reading. It's a measure of how far current behavior is deviating from the expected baseline. A road doing 30 miles per hour in a 30 miles per hour zone is green. A motorway doing 30 miles per hour when it normally does 70 is bright red. Why warnings appear before you see anything? This is the detail that feels like magic and is actually just geometry. When you see a traffic warning ahead of you, it means phones that are physically ahead of you on the road have already reported the slowdown. Traffic is a wave that moves backward from its source. Cars hit the blockage, slow down, and their phones transmit reduced speed. The cars behind them slow down too, and so on, rippling back. Your phone receives the aggregated map update before you reach the slow cars because the slow cars are already transmitting. You're benefiting from the crowd intelligence of everyone who got there before you. This is also why the rerouting algorithm works so well. The app isn't just watching your road, it's watching every road simultaneously. When it offers you a faster route, it's because the parallel road still has phones moving freely. And the time savings from avoiding the jam road outweighs the extra distance of the detour. 2 checkout lines. One is frozen because something happened at the front. The other is still moving. You don't need to know what caused the jam to know which lane to pick. The limits, when the system gets it wrong, no system this complex is perfect. It helps to know where it fails. The most common problem is sparse data. In rural areas, on roads few people drive, the historical baseline is thin and the live data is even thinner. A single car with GPS issues can create a phantom slowdown. An unusual vehicle, a tractor, a horse trailer, a postal delivery van doing its rounds, can look like congestion. The system works best at population density, and in its absence, it's genuinely less reliable. A second failure mode is novelty. The system is trained on historical patterns, which means events that have never happened before take longer to register. A major road closure for a new infrastructure project. A festival routing thousands of cars through a village for the first time. For the first hour or two, while data is still accumulating, the map may be slower to react. There's also a gap between physical cause and data signal. Maps know speeds. It doesn't know why speeds changed. It can't tell the difference between a serious accident with road closures and a minor fender bender that cleared in 4 minutes. It can tell you that something happened and that it's resolved. Once it's resolved, but it can't narrate what it was. Finally, GPS, spoofing and privacy. In some parts of the world, GPS signals are deliberately jammed or falsified, near government buildings in certain countries, for instance. This creates ghost traffic that isn't there, or invisibility where traffic exists. The map in these areas is genuinely less trustworthy. What you're actually contributing. Here's the part that tends to make people stop and think. When you open a Maps app with location access enabled, you become part of the system. You are, silently and anonymously, contributing your speed data to the shared map, whether you're actively navigating or just driving with the app in the background. This isn't hidden, exactly, it's in the privacy policy, but most people haven't thought about it consciously. You're not just a consumer of the traffic picture, you're one of the sensors building it. There's something philosophically interesting about this. No one designed the real-time traffic layer as a grand coordinated system. It emerged. Millions of individuals each made the ordinary decision to use a Maps app, and the aggregate of those individual decisions accidentally created the most comprehensive, real-time road monitoring infrastructure ever built. No government initiative, no public works project, no deliberate policy produced it. It just appeared, out of the habits of ordinary people getting from one place to another. And because of it, a stranger who hit traffic 20 minutes ahead of you on the same road is quietly helping you avoid it without knowing you, without agreeing to help, without receiving anything in return. So, next time your phone warns you about a delay before you can see it, that's not magic. It's not a surveillance helicopter. It's not a camera behind every tree. It's the combined movement of everyone else on the road, quietly translating itself into color on your screen. A system made of ordinary people doing ordinary things that somehow adds up to something none of them could have built alone. Thanks for watching Byte by Byte, Mike Explains. I hope you learned something new today and discovered a little of the technology hidden behind our everyday lives. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know what tech mystery you'd like me to explain next. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and keep learning one byte at a time.